Hi everybody, it's Travis speaking, back again after a bit of a break on YouTube. Today wanted to get into what it's going to look like for you when you first open up your Revit 2026. This is a new sort of look that you be familiar with if you were working in 2024. By default, you're seeing this dark theme, which will change here, or take a look at how you would do that in a second. But for the most part, you're seeing your recent tiles for projects that you've worked on, your open and new for families and projects. If you're working in the ACC, you'll see Autodesk projects here. And if you've got a hankering from the old way, you can actually toggle it back to what you would have saw in the past. So this is actually neat in my opinion because you can switch over to this list view. So you can see I haven't really done much with this, but if you were going into your Autodesk Construction Cloud, you can see it's pretty sleek how it's all pretty streamlined here, and you can see you've got the different hubs. So similar yet a little bit I think it's a little bit more agile. Anyway, let's go back to something else here. We were going to go and take a look at this example file that I've got going here, and hit open on that. So this is just a single user BIM that I've got some of the sample files linked into. Now I've got my task manager open at the bottom just so I can take a look at the resources, because when I opened this up before, I was watching the blue donut spin quite a bit, but the sample files they're quite large. Like, there's a lot going on in them. I haven't really taken a look to see, like, if they're bad files or they've got like tons of in-place components or whatever. But I do think that I haven't also tweaked my setup here for Revit 2026, and that's part of what this little video is about. So you'll notice when you get in here, I open up to my welcome screen, but this is looking black like AutoCAD. If I was to go to a floor plan that we've got set up here and just uncrop that, you can take a look at the whole file. We've got some scope boxes. So yeah, it looks like a AutoCAD drawing with white lines, and I'm not really a fan. So I'm gonna go up to File and click on Options, and we'll take a look at some of the things that you may want to change. And that's all we're going to really take a look at here. So under the General tab, I'm happy with all of this. This is fine for me. Under User Interface, I'm going to see like which tabs do I want. If you don't do any piping or electrical, then maybe you don't need the Systems tab. This is where you can go in and take some of this stuff off. Okay. One of the first things I do is I go to my keyboard shortcuts and I import a file that I keep up to date. So I'm going to hit open on that. It gives me a question, do you want to merge or overwrite? I want to overwrite these, and I'll just hit OK. And as far as double click options, I've already addressed some of these, but when you come in here at like from scratch, it's the first time, you're gonna see probably that this says for family, edit family, sketched element, edit sketch, something like that, right? I would advise to put do nothing on these, because you're clicking around quite a bit, and if you have double click functionality on everything, you're going to be opening up a lot of dialog boxes that you don't really want to. So I keep it to inside views on sheets, deactivate views, and schedules on sheets if I want to open that up for any further editing. Aside from that, I'm just keeping these all at do nothing, and this slow double click project browser, this is something new, so I'm just going to leave that as is. Next to that, I'm going to go over to colors, and so if you don't want this darker theme on like the surroundings in your palettes and your ribbon, then what you can do is just switch it to light. Okay, if we hit OK, you can see it's changed all that automatically, just like with defaults. But this is referred to as the canvas. I think if I go to view, there's a canvas option here that just toggles that back and forth. Okay, so that's a new feature as well. if I go back to options on the colors, for the UI active theme, it says use system settings. If I change that to light, then that brings that the more traditional interface look back, okay? But I've become fond of that darker interface, but what I don't want is the background to be black, so I'm going to switch that up. And then the selection of cyan, I can't abide by. I'm going to change that to blue. My pre-selection, I'm going to change that to red. Yeah, I'll leave it that one there. That's good. Okay, so when I hit OK, actually, hold on. We want to go into this as well just quickly. You may see something a little bit different. This enable accelerated graphics tech preview. I'm not sure how long we're going to see that. If it's a tech preview, then it's possible by, like, you know, within a couple updates of 2026, we may see this go away. But it says show on screen toolbar and toggle with right click menu, or toggle with right click menu only. I'm going to keep it with this one. I think that was what I changed it to before. But it's probably saying show on screen toolbar. So before we'll take a look at that, we'll just skip over here to hardware. You can see that I got my check marks, so it's saying that I meet the requirements, and I am going to use hardware acceleration. But if you don't have this, then this might be something that you want to take a look at a little bit and try it out without hardware acceleration. You may get a better performance. Okay, so as far as file locations, I'm leaving that all as default. If you did do a lot of rendering and you have files you're bringing forward, then you may want to add the place where you keep all your images for your image mapping. So I'm going to hit OK on that. You can see I get my darker theme back here, but my canvas stays white. And when I hover over something, I'm seeing a pink pre-selection. And if I was to actually select something, you're seeing it goes back to that blue that we use. Okay. Okay. So as far as interface goes, that's pretty much where I'm happy. I'm in my happy place. But a couple things to consider here is that when you first start out, you may be seeing this, okay, with your project browser kind of split up with the properties palette. I like the added real estate. I've got, you know, a wide enough monitor that if I put this over here, then it's going to work fine. But if you're like me and you have two monitors, then you might find banking this thing to be a little bit of a task. So just if you take the maximization off and then you hover this over, you'll see there's a little blue line that appears, and that's where I'm going to let go of my mouse and then remaximize my screen, and I'm back to where I want. Now that accelerated graphics tech preview, here's a toggle. If I click that on, I'm getting this message here that's saying accelerated graphics tech preview offers faster navigation in 2D and 3D with various visual styles. Okay, we'll leave that on. We'll see how that goes. Look at that. Okay, so with that, it looks like what that did was that turned on like an anti-aliasing. If I turn on my thin, thick line weights, interesting. Line weights are on, but not very thick at all. Shut that off. Holy smokes. Okay, well, I would definitely want to know about that. So I've got a lot of stuff going on with my view templates that show me thick line weights. By having that on, that took all of that away. Now let's just see here if we change the scale of this. It changed the scale of the grids, the lines, but it didn't really change the scale of the line weights. Interesting. Okay, well, I think I would want that to be shut off. What's this here? This is like how you drag it around. Okay, tech preview. Well, you know what? Interesting. Okay, wow. Didn't intend to do that, but it brought all the information up just by double clicking on it. So that's pretty cool. I'll get back to that at some point. But I think for the time being, I don't really want that on there. Hide button text. I just want that to be off. So I'm going to hit close toolbar and go back to the options. And until I know more, I'm going to disable this. And now it's possible this is going to give me the issues I had before when I was talking about performance, but this is working pretty smooth here. Flip over to a 3D view now. Okay, that's interesting. Now this seems to be behaving a little bit better than it was before when I had all of these loaded. So I think what I'm going to do is call it there, and we'll take a look at some of these other features soon enough. Thanks for watching. Bye now.